Okay, you asked me about the influence that people had on my career. One thing I can relate to is Roy Orbison, because back in 1964, I'm riding down the road one day listening to Paul Berlin on KMZ.
Great Paul Berlin.
And he played a Roy Orbison version of Lonely Wine, and it was on an album. And I went, and because I fell in love with the song, and I went and recorded it. I took Paul, the single, and I always thought if I could ever get Paul Berlin to play a song by Mickey Gilley, I was going to be successful. And sure enough, the record took off and started to sell, and I stayed in this one club with the Is It Wrong and Lonely Wine that I had recorded with Kenny on the bass on Is It Wrong, and Lonely Wine that I recorded at Jones Sound recording studio in the Heights. Those two songs kept me working at the Nestledale Club on Spencer Highway for 10 years.
Now, is that where he brought Elvis the one time? Because Paul Berlin told me a story about him bringing Elvis to some club off of Spencer Highway. And I
you know, I don't know if, I don't remember Elvis ever being on Spencer, but I do know he came to Houston at one time, but I never got a chance to meet him. Although I didn't meet him in pictures.
I had Paul Berlin on my show and we had so much fun just going through the memories, and people would call in and tell stories of when they'd met him in their high school reunion he'd played or whatever else. And I had Roy Head call in. He was on tour in Illinois. Roy Head called in. Johnny Nash called in. But Paul Berlin, what a legend in Houston radio. And still on the radio today.
Well, he's had a big influence on my career, because I always thought that if I could get him to play one of my recordings. I remember when he played Jerry Lee's Crazy Arms when I first took him at old 78 RPM. And I always said, you know, if Paul Berlin would play one of my recordings, I'm going to be successful in the industry, because he was such a fabulous DJ in the Houston area.
Do you listen to a lot of music now? Mickey Gilley.
I used to listen to quite a bit, but you know, I really pay attention more of what I'm doing in my career more than anything else. What's left of it, that is. Being 76 years old, I don't have a lot of major time left in my life, but I'm having a great time in doing what I'm doing. I'm trying to keep my name out there, with the Gilleys in Vegas at Treasure Island, the one in Dallas with my name on it. We just opened a Gilley's up at Choctaw Nations in Durant, Oklahoma, and I'm just trying to keep the logo out there and keep the things going that we created with the Gilleys.
And you're still performing 10 months out of the year, 3 nights a week in
I'm doing some road dates, and I'm working 3 days a week during the summer months there in my theater, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday night. I have 6 working 6 nights a week in my theater, and every now and then I'll go over to the restaurant and sing karaoke with the people.
Really?
I'm a glutton for punishment.
Oh my goodness, they must enjoy that. Nobody would. They have to photograph all that because nobody'd believe it otherwise.
I'm a glutton for punishment when it comes to music. I enjoy the camaraderie with the audience and have a great time with the people. You got time for a quick story?
Yeah, of course.
I had this lady come.
Mickey Gilley's in studio. I got time for anything.
I had a lady come through the autograph. You could have kicked out of this. This lady comes through the autograph line the other day, and she sits down beside me, and she asked for an autograph, and I signed it for her, and I took a picture with her, and I'm, very cordial with all the fans that come through, And I'm chatting with her a little bit, trying to chat with everybody, and she looked at me and she says, "I bet I'm older than you are." And I said, "Well, maybe, ma'am, you might be. How old are you?" And she said, "I'm 85 years old." I said, "Wow. Yeah, you got me just a few years. Not much, but a few." I said, "You're looking good to be 85. What are you doing tonight, honey?" And she said, "The same thing you're doing, nothing." I get some of my best material from people who come through the autograph line.
It must be such a thrill to see people, because of your career and because it's what it's meant to people. I think there are people, and not to criticize anyone else who did a song and moved on down the road, but for you it was so intimate to so many people's lives.
The camaraderie I have with the fans is very rewarding to me too. I mean, I get up and take pictures. People come through the autograph line, I'll stand up, and as bad as my legs are, and I can't stand up for a long period of time right now, but I get up out of the chair and I take pictures with them, and I try to look, like, I wanted to be when I was 38 years old. Of course, I'm not that old. I'm not that young anymore. I'm double that. But I'm doing a show for Lucas Oil at my restaurant in Branson. And like I said, I'm a glutton for punishment when it comes to work. I'm a workaholic, actually. We're doing the Lucas Oil people ordered 13 shows for my restaurant that I'm doing. I made them a pilot show, and they liked it. I'm trying to go back and revisit Gilley's place.
When you, I'm sorry, just 1 second. Can you say that again, Brian? No, everything's good. Okay. Sorry, we had a little audio hiccup. I lost my train of thought. Just give me 1 second here. When you look at what the music industry has become today, better or worse, the same? What do you see out there?
Well, some of the acts that I really get a kick out of. I mean, I really like Toby Keith. I like George Strait. I like Garth Brooks. Of course, Garth is sort of semi-retired now. I don't think he's doing very much anymore. But some of the acts that come along that's really gives a lot of credibility. I look back at what's happening with me and Johnny Lee when we first started, you know, and back when John Travolta first did the film The Urban Cowboy, and it launched me and him into the stratosphere all of a sudden. And of course, I traveled with Conway and Loretta for quite a few years. I've had a very good career. I mean, I cannot complain. Like I say before, if it ended tomorrow, it's been a great ride.
Is there a song that when you hear, it just always puts you in a good mood that somebody else's that you wish you'd covered over the years?
Well, George Strait covered a song that went #1 for him that I got. We used to do a little comedy skit on it in my theater. You Look So Good in Love. I had it recorded, and then George Strait comes and records it, and it becomes #1 song for him. And I said, he needs another #1 song like I need another accident, you know.
What does he have, 55 of them?
Yeah, he's got the record of all the #1 songs he's recorded in his career. But 17's not too bad. You know, I'm not gonna take a back seat to anybody. I've had 17 #1 records and the country charts, and I'm pleased with that.
J.D., you've written this book, Unconquered, and I noticed one of the things that you weave in between Jimmy Swaggart and Jerry Lee Lewis and Mickey Gilley in their lives is rock and roll, country music, and evangelical Christianity. I thought that was an interesting mix of how these guys went their different directions, but as Mickey just said, coming from the same, literally the same place.
Yeah, you know, I grew up in this Assembly of God Pentecostal world that these three boys did. It's changed a lot, you know, by the time I'd come along and was going through it. But, and a lot of readers may or may not like to hear this, but there's a tremendous amount of similarity between an Assembly of God or a Pentecostal song service and a rock and roll concert. The message is different, but the upbeat movement, the lively music and worship, it was the genesis of some of these guys that were the forebears of rock and roll. Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, these guys grew up in the Assembly of God Church, and that's where they learned music.
Well, you know, when they tried to, when Jerry Lee went to Bible school in Waxahachie, you know, he took My God Is Real and put a beat to it, and they didn't like that.
That's exactly right.
You know?
We talk about that in the book.
Now, is it the Assembly of God that don't allow any music? I know Church of Christ
No,
don't
it's
allow
Church of Christ that don't allow musical instruments. They allow music. It's Assembly of God. Every piece of instrumentation.
Quite the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I recorded I'll Fly Away, you know, I give a demonstration in my show when I'm doing my show there. I'm doing my live story and music at my theater, and I do the little thing on the I'll Fly Away where it's a lot of cut time beat, you know. Some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away, and then I hit that boogie beat, and it's got that rocking beat, you know. Some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away, you know. And when I recorded it, my mom said, "Son, we never did it like that in church."
You know, I was raised Southern Baptist, and I remember the first time I came to Houston, and you go to a church, and they get up and get the happy feet and go to running, and they had drums and all. And I don't know why, but, you know, we'd kind of been taught God don't want you doing
they
all
call
that.
that shouting, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Shouting.
The tongues and everything else, and you're thinking, I'm not sure God's for that. And you figure, hey, you know what? They're just worshiping in their own way.
Well, I told my mom one time, she was real into these the people that pray for people, you know, divine healing type thing. And I told my mom one time, I said, "Mom, let me tell you what, if something happens to me and I'm on my deathbed, I would appreciate you praying for me a lot more than what he's praying for these people, because I got more confidence in you praying for me than him."
That is so true.